Okay, I know I'm stopping a bit, but I'll pretty much be clear. In 03, it actually is a little more interesting because their version of homunculi are created by failed human transmutation. Therefore, it creates the false human form of that person they try to resurrect. But the homunculus is still that person. It's just that they have no memory of who they once were. And that their soul is still inside them. And the only way they would actually become, well, try to have their normality and so forth, is, well, if they're fed lots for spoon bits. But Brotherhood, they just came from one guy! I'm not kidding! I know it's supposed to be like how it is for the original. It's supposed to be that little homage to the original, but that makes less sense, to be honest.
So, wait a minute. You stopped my video for over a minute to respond, and your attempt to debunk/respond to my argument was to argue with your own subjective opinion? Really? Subjectivity does not refute subjectivity in a video that's supposedly a rant/response. Great, you like the 03 version better. Fine, but how does that refute my point in any form? It doesn't.
That's out of the way. The only rule
it's really bad when his children are a lot more interesting than the actual villain.
Fair game. Oh, and spoiler alert. So with that boring disclaimer out of the way, let's rock it.
Okay, hold on. Here's the thing of what this guy should have actually mentioned before he actually made this video, is that this is not to offend anyone who likes these certain homunculi. This is just an opinion-based video. With that little sentence in mind, you think he could have actually posted that in the comments below, or descriptions. But no, he just goes forth and does it. I know I did a little bit of a screw-up, but even I acknowledge that this is solely my opinions base. And I would say it at the beginning to show that, well, it's an opinion base.
As someone who has been in the content community for over 3 years when the video came out, I could proudly say that stating it's your opinion on a list like this doesn't matter. If your choices for a list don't fit someone's view, more often than not, they will flip out at you regardless of reason. Hell, given that you bring up my comments section, you might have noticed that a bunch of those comments were bitching at me for putting Envy at the lowest spot on the list. Even though I listed my reasons why, they didn't care and bashed on me regardless. Also, most people who click on a list like this, unless you're someone who faces entries from community votes like WatchMojo allegedly does, know it's your opinion. You don't need to say it every few sentences. They know, and they don't care most of the time because of the reasons stated above. Hell, as we go through number 7, you flip out because I put Envy at the bottom.
Oh, why, Envy? Why?
So even if I had put in that disclaimer, people would have flipped out regardless, so if anything, it would have been a waste of time and energy. Trust me, I've been doing countouts for a long time. I know how some people react to this shit.
Where do I begin with this?
Hey, you got a lucky number, but...
Well, one, he did kill Mace Hughes, one of my favorite characters in the series.
AKA Markiplier.
And his shapeshifting ability is pretty unique, especially for a series that mainly revolves around alchemy.
Shapeshifting is not really used as much.
So, I still like his shapeshifting ability. Again, was this another attempt to debunk me? Because it's not working.
Because Envy rarely made an appearance, but after Lust's death, Envy appears in the series more often.
I like.
Lovely. He also sucks at fighting. Since he can't...
Well, he's supposed to be an assassin character. And, well, the assassins, they tend to have, like, the lowest health. Wait, not just assassin. Stealth character. And if you know, I kind of see him as, like, a Metal Gear type of character.
But does that negate my issue that I find his fighting skills to be shit? No. All you did was explain why. If someone doesn't like something, the explanation for why they don't like it usually doesn't make the issue go away. It's like complaining about stomach pains and getting told why. Guess what? The pain's still gonna be there. Just because there's a reason for his fighting skills to be shit doesn't mean I have to like his fighting skills now. Especially on a list where I judge them from least favorite to favorite, and some of the other homunculi have, subjectively speaking, better fighting skills. It also means I can't use it as the main reason to hate him, though, which, well, I don't hate him just for that reason. I have other reasons why I don't like Envy, as you yourself show in the video.
You know, the fact that they're very sneaky and very stealthy and they'll kill you without you even knowing that they're gonna kill you.
Fighting his normal body without getting his ass kicked, he has to transform into
This is why Overrated Envy was actually much stronger.
Even when Envy transforms into Roy to try and kill Riza and fails,
oh no!
Owned like a Street Fighter noob.
What? Hold on. Street Fighter noob? Street Fighter? Seriously? I don't get it.
How? I was talking about Envy's terrible fighting skills, so when it came time for the joke, which is more of an analogy now that I think about it, I referenced the terrible skills of someone playing a fighting game. In this case, Street Fighter. You don't have to like the joke, but to not understand why I made the reference is a little odd, especially when you put two and two together.
I'm sorry. I'm confused. Street Fighter? You could have just said, like, Smash Bros, noob. Ugh.
So, basically, your main issue is that I didn't use a franchise you wanted? Really? That's really weak sauce.
And was losing. Rather than die in his own body, he tries to hijack Ed's body in a last-ditch attempt to survive.
Hang on a sec. Sorry, guys.
Fails, and not only gets his mind screwed, which wasn't helped by Kimberly retaining his personality and talking to Pride, mind you.
Kimberly's still awesome! And
he turns into a fetus.
Ugh. And he's still alive!
Really?
Yes, he's still alive, but he allegedly has no memory of him being Pride and is acting like a normal kid. So, what's the problem here exactly? As of the ending of this story, he's not doing anything evil, and Salem's mother states in the end of the series that she will ensure he doesn't go down the Pride route again. So again, what's with the rage?
I'm ashamed! You really don't know? It's National Make Fun of Mexicans Day!
He's a ground sloth!
Ultimate spear.
Okay, Lust is not that bad, but...
He may not have started a war like Envy, or is as strong as Pride, but Lust still has good enough points to justify
she was only in the first season for not that many episodes!
One example I can...
So, doesn't mean I can't like her, and given the fact she's number 4 on the list means that she left that much of an impression on me despite the short amount of time she had on the show.
This next entry is rather ironic, considering this guy worked with Lust until her death.
That's not what irony means. Holy shit, could people stop using this word if they don't know what it means? Jesus Christ, what's wrong with people these days?
Yeah, okay. Why isn't the reactor doing her job again? I thought the title also had rants in it. Where's the rants? Hell, you mentioned in the comments that you did this because you found issues/flaws with this video, so wouldn't this misuse of irony also classify as an issue? Just saying. Anyways, I'm gonna go look up some crap on DA. Just need to think of a word.
Where was I? Oh, right.
Gluttony the Voracious.
Did somebody save? Oh?
God damn it, Damon.
Hey, I need my cringe compilation today, my latter half. Let me enjoy it in peace.
Whatever. Skipping.
I actually don't mind his fighting style.
Exception to Greedling, King Bradley was born human and then injected with wrath later in his life. Originally born as number 12.
Isn't he half homunculus? He doesn't really count as a homunculus since... Well,
by taking male children from their birthplaces and secretly raising them.
Nice to see you cut yourself off mid-sentence. Smooth. Also, Ling Yao/Greedling was also a half homunculus, and yet you didn't bitch about that when I mentioned Greedling. Seriously, I may have skipped a segment, but that doesn't mean I didn't hear what you said, Ash. You didn't point out Greedling being a half homunculi. Bradley shouldn't count because of that. The same should also be applied to Greedling. Even then, however, my own rules state the homunculi is either a personified sin, which is what Bradley basically is, and or a human injected with a philosopher's stone, which, again, is what Bradley is.
Oh boy! I know I shouldn't be angry about this, but I've been meaning to do a reaction video to this for a while, and I know this is about a few years old, I understand that, but there are so many things that this guy could have actually scripted a bit better.
Oh, really? Oh, finally! Let's hear it! What do you got for me to improve on?
Now, I'm not saying that he's allowed to have any of these homunculi on his list, but could have worded things a bit better, to be honest.
Okay. Such as?
I mean, heck, it's like me giving a stupid reason for hating, say, like, Roy Mustang, when literally I did give a reason.
So you're not going to give examples of things that could have been worded better? Really? For fuck's sake.
As for this, it just made me wonder, why does everyone I've actually seen in the Brotherhood community, hate on Envy? I get it, I get the obvious reasons, but Are there any good qualities? Any other good qualities?
Really? I brought up a couple good qualities about Envy in the goddamn list. His shapeshifting and his impact in the story. Those were good traits.
With that being said, that also means that the Pokemon anime is close to the end of the 6th generation as well. Now, Serena wasn't a very interesting character when she was first introduced. She was a dull cunt that had no redeemable qualities. Her only purpose in the Pokemon anime was to be sexually attracted to Hess, and that's about it. There wasn't much else to her character. Now that we are close to the end of the 6th generation of the Pokemon anime, nothing has changed. She is still a dull cunt with nothing interesting to her.
You know, I could easily harp on you for using that word, but that would be nitpicking. Instead, let's tackle your argument about how she isn't interesting and has no redeemable qualities. Let's run down the list of good qualities / good things about her character, shall we? She's nice, she's determined, she's brave, as shown when she went to rescue Ash from Team Rocket. She gets development, and I'm not just talking physically like with the hair. I mean going from someone who wanted to go on a journey to find Ash and return the handkerchief, to becoming a Pokemon performer while also developing bonds with her Pancham, Braixen, and now Sylveon. Plus, although she likes Ash, she also uses that crush to motivate her to do better with that never give up mentality. So it's not like she's that obsessive / crazy kind of girl. What I'm getting at is that she does have likable traits to her, and she does get some development throughout the show. It may not be a lot in some people's eyes, but it is something. Also, sexually attracted to Ash? Okay, this is one of my problems with shipping these characters. They're 10. Why the hell would the people behind Pokemon write a character who is sexually attracted to Ash? It's a simple crush, and that's it.
Anyway, back to the main subject of this video. You know, I could forgive the fact that she's just a dull cunt if her starter would have evolved into a Delphox by now. But no, we are near the end, and her starter hasn't evolved into a Delphox yet.
Couldn't you argue the same thing with Clemont's Chespin, May's Wartortle, and a lot of Ash's starter Pokemon from the regions? Besides, what's to say that it won't evolve? We still have a lot of time left before Sun / Moon come out, so who's to say that it won't evolve in the future? Hell, you even admit that it's possible.
Now there is a possibility that maybe near the end of the 6th generation of the Pokemon anime, her starter will be fully evolved. But if it's near the very end, that's far too fucking late. I'm sorry.
Also, far too late? So, she evolved her Braixen into a Delphox, which is what you wanted to see her do. Who cares if it happens near the end? But back on topic, why should it evolve? You don't explain why in either this clip or the rest of the video aside from saying it's awesome and one of your favorite starters. Would it help her in the performances if it was a Delphox? How would it be better as a Delphox than if they kept it as Braixen when it comes to set performances? Just saying, why? God, I need something to lighten the mood after that rant. Is there anything else in the video I can use?
But overall, yeah, Serena isn't very interesting in the slightest. So overall, yeah.
Good enough.
Another thing with the fairy types is the fact that if I remember correctly, it only has 2 weaknesses. 2 weaknesses being poison and steel. I don't know if you know this, but those are the 2 least used types in a Pokemon battle ever. If you go into like a Pokemon battle thing, unless you have pre-registered Pokemon, then they will usually not be steel and poison. They are the least run types.
Least used types? Maybe for you, but some teams are based solely on those types alone. Steel types are great tank Pokemon, and poison moves like Poisonous Spikes and other things are great for inflicting steady damage over time. Burns do this too, but I bet you already knew that, Mr. Bias Pants. Also, where are you getting these statistics? From your ass?
This doesn't really refute his point, Fawn. Skittles brought up that the fairy type's weaknesses are poison and steel, which are not as common in the competitive scene, which he did somewhat bring up in the clip you showed us. But let's acknowledge your argument that what he said was bullshit. Since you didn't show any proof countering his claim, I have 3 links in the description that lists the most used Pokemon on Pokemon Online, Showdown, and even at the VGCs. all competitive scenes for Pokemon players. Want to know where Steel/Poison are in the top 10, excluding legendaries? Numbers 8 and 9, 5 and 6, and for the last link, number 6. The rest of the lists are populated by other types and or uber tier Pokemon like the previously mentioned legendaries. And as for the fairy type, 1, and it's an uber tier legendary, 1, and that's more because of huge power, and Sylveon. That's less than 10% of the list.
I don't know, I haven't played Pokemon in a fair while. Not that long. I played Pokemon Platinum, then from there I haven't really done much.
So let me get this straight. You're complaining about how fairy types ruined the game, and yet you haven't played Pokemon in a while? Well, it's no wonder you're pulling statistics out of your ass, because you barely play the source material you're ranting on. And considering your last game was Platinum from what you said, the game with 3 legendary trio dragon gods, this just makes you look like the biggest fucking fanboy on the planet.
I'm probably gonna get some flack for this point, aren't I? Look, while it would be nice that he at least play the games he was ranting on, what's to say that he didn't do research on the topic before turning on the camera? There are hundreds of YouTube videos showcasing the power of the fairy type, as well as how the mechanics work. There are thousands of sites that give off similar information about set type/mechanics like Bulbapedia, which he does use later on in the video when he lists the moves. Sure, it would be nice if he played it, but it doesn't have to be a requirement if you at least did some research on the topic you're ranting on. But that's just me.
Like, they don't even have that many good moves. Play Rough, Moonblast, Light of Ruin, and Dazzling Gleam are the only moves above 50 base power. It has 4 moves, so it's not even that good. If you go into battle with just like pure fairy types, they have 4 moves that have plus 50 base power.
I'm pretty sure you would agree with me if I said that the point of weaker fairy type moves is because fairies are not that strong. You even hinted at that fact at the beginning of this video. Fairies are fairies, and as a result, they won't have a lot of power because of their lore and mythos.
But didn't you also say this earlier?
Fucking fairy type, they ruined my dragons.
Well, that's the entire point the type even exists. Dragons in the game were the most overpowered Pokemon for quite a few generations before Game Freak realized, hey, this type is really overused. Let's make it balanced.
How can a type essentially designed as another way to take down the OP dragon type do so if its moves barely have much power to them, even with stab and effect? Hell, even their attack/special attack sets are shittier than the ice type. You know, the type originally designed to take down the dragon type. And to rub the point in even further, in the same generation where Fairy was introduced, we got Mega Evolutions, which boosted the power of certain Pokemon by 100 base points. And how many Mega Evolutions are either Dragon types or get Dragon as a secondary type? About 20% of all the Mega Evolutions so far are Dragon types with boosted stats. And if you remember the base power of some of those moves, yeah, that's a problem. So TLDR, the base power of those moves are an issue in regards to dealing with Dragon type Pokemon.
And even after he does his outro, he goes on for another 2 minutes or so, repeating everything again and how fairy types need to go into another void and die. I didn't hear any complaining about the fairy designs or any specific examples for why the type sucks so badly. Just a lot of, oh my god, they nerfed my dragons, hate, hate, hate.
Well, I didn't think I'd use this joke again, but... You fucking furious! Throughout this video, he brought up the issue with the base power of the fairy-type moves. He pointed out that the weaknesses of fairy are Pokemon that aren't used that often in competitive play. Sure, he could have given better explanations as well as more reasons, but there's a difference between few reasons and no reasons.
What's up, everybody? This is Brandon Lee Salazar on the air. How you guys all doing? I'm really upset right now because Robert Baldwin was not in Power Rangers Dino Supercharge.
Oh no, an actor you wanted to see in an adaptation of Kyryuger didn't get in. Truly, this is sad times. Also, love the stammers. It's almost like he did this in one take or something. And since he holds on a frame listing the actor for the Aqua Ranger, I'm just gonna skip ahead.
It's me. I'm your dad.
You know what I have to say about this? Fuck the actors playing the Aqua Ranger. Because that actor is supposed to be playing the Silver Dino Charge Ranger.
When did Saban ever say that Tyler's dad was going to play the Silver Ranger? Oh, right, they never did. You just thought they would do that because in the Sentai, Daiu's dad was the second Silver Ranger. Okay, this bugs me with certain fans of both Super Sentai and Power Rangers. When they ask for a faithful adaptation of the Sentai, they bitch about it being too similar. But when they change the source material and plot, they still bitch. I just don't get it.
Besides, the Aqua Ranger is... That's Robert Baldwin's role. And Robert Baldwin was supposed to be the Aqua Ranger.
Yes, because being interested in the role and getting the role are clearly the same thing. Listen, it's very likely they couldn't get him due to either union rights, contracts, paying to fly him out to New Zealand since he lives in Japan, etc. Also, citation needed. Where did he say this? Oh, right. You don't have a link. Lovely. Besides, what makes him more qualified than a guy from New Zealand? Again, no explanation.
So Bond brands decide, oh, let's not choose him, let's decide to a different actor. Well, let me tell you this. That was the most fucked up decision that I ever heard about.
Yes, this is a bad decision because they didn't cast a guy I liked. Also, these gaps in between your sentences are so goddamn big you could drive Kyoryuger Resha through it.
Number 9 would have to be evasiveness and accuracy stats. When you level a Pokemon up, its attack goes up, its defense goes up, its speed, its special defense, special attack, all that. But the accuracy and evasiveness stats always stay the same. They're always the same for every Pokemon. And the way I feel, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, if you ask me, evasiveness should be based on the Pokemon's speed. Accuracy should, in fact, be trained along with all the other stats that get boosted when a Pokemon levels up.
You do realize that if they were to do that now, moves like Sand Attack and Double Team would be labeled useless because they're there for a reason. They're following regular RPG rules. Evasiveness and accuracy are based on luck in the programming. Almost every RPG does that, even in games that aren't turn-based.
Number 8, water types are not resistant to rock and ground type attacks. And I'd just like somebody to explain to me why. Do you know how hard it is to destroy a golem with Hydro Pump when it keeps using Rock Slide on your Gyarados?
First off, Gyarados is a water flying type, and what is a weakness to flying? Rock moves. Second of all, Golem has very high defenses in regular defense and decent special defense.
Number 7, the original 3 ghost types, Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, were also made to be poison types, meaning that they're weak to psychic attacks. And on top of that, they have no useful ghost attacks. I mean, Lick barely did any damage, and Nightshade, it didn't matter if it was super effective, it was always going to make the same amount of damage.
First off, while it may have Psychic as a weakness, it now has 3 resistances and 3 immunities. You can't really say that's a bad thing. Second of all, here is Gengar's move pool. It may have the moves you listed, but some of those ghost moves are actually pretty effective, such as Shadow Ball, Nightmare, etc.
Number 6, and this is a big one, and I'm sure a lot of you agree with me on this one. Charizard, Gyarados, and Aerodactyl are not dragon types.
Well, I can agree Charizard and Gyarados should have been dragon types. Aerodactyl, no. Aerodactyl is based off the prehistoric dinosaur or flyer Pterodactyl. It only has a couple of dragon features on it. So why would they make it a dragon type? That doesn't make any sense.
Number 2 is trait evolutions. I want a Golem. I want a Machamp. I want an Alakazam. And most of all, I want a Gengar. Which are all very hard for me to obtain because I have no one to trade with.
Well, boo-hoo. We all want things in life and we can't always get them. I will admit that trait evolutions are a little annoying, but they put in trait evolutions because of the fact that the creator wanted to use the link cable for more than just playing with friends, because not a lot of games were using them. So, that's why it was there. But for your problem, may I recommend the Global Trade Station for Gen 4 and 5? Yeah, you may not be able to get what you want, but you could ask somebody online, Like, could you please trade back the Graveler I sent once I sent it to you? If that's the problem. I can't help you with anything past Gen 4 and 5, but there you go.
Hello everybody, this is Dustin Smith, and I have a new episode of Terrible YuGiOh Cards for you, episode 2.
Now in Shotaro stereo quality! Perfect for people too lazy to fix their audio mistakes.
First card is a trap card, and it is called An Unfortunate Report. I read you the effect, you'll realize how absolutely unfortunate this card is, and anyone who owns this card is. Your opponent conducts their next battle phase twice. Yeah. Ouch. So yeah, that's pretty bad, because I mean, your opponent is able to hit you with everything twice, which will more than likely cause you to lose a huge chunk of life points, and you'll pretty much lose the duel. The only way I can see this card being valuable is if they're, later on in YuGiOh, they produce monsters that, summon with, like, if your opponent hitting you twice with everything in order to summon. But at least at this point, this card is garbage. Don't use it. You have so much better cards to use than this piece of shit. So anyways.
Not necessarily. Now on the surface, yes, this card seems like a pretty bad one on its own. But combined with, say, another spell card and trap card, it can be pretty effective. What do I mean? Well, I activate my two face-down cards, Battlemania and Taunt. Battlemania will only affect during the opponent's standby phase, causes all their face-up monsters to be changed into attack position, and can't change their positions until next turn. On top of that, they must also attack your opponent in the same turn unless they are summoned after the trap is played. Now combine that with an Unfortunate Report's effect, and now it happens twice. But it would still cause you to lose a lot of life points, I hear you cry. That's where Taunt comes in, my friend. Taunt, on the other hand, will only work during your opponent's main phase, allows me to select one monster on the side of the field. In the case of this counter, I'll have my Ultimate Dragon and Elemental Hero Clayman on my field, and I'll select the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to get hit by Taunt's effect. So as long as my monster stays on the field this turn, my opponent can only attack my Ultimate Dragon for an attack. And since Battlemania pretty much forces my opponent's monster to attack during the turn, and since Unfortunate Report allows my opponent to attack again, it won't be the holder of this card taking damage, it'll be my opponent. My point is, this card can be useful, but much like a lot of cards in the game, good or bad, it just depends on how you set it up and how you use it. One more thing. You say there are better cards out there, yet don't list any examples during this entry. What, did they get sucked into a dark hole or something? Come on, you made the claim that there are better cards in this. I want you to back that damn claim up. Anyways, to continue the cringe, I'll swap out my two monsters for Yamada Dragon, and I'll end my turn.
Spiritual Energy Settle Machine. Alright, so let's read about it. As long as this card remains face-up on the field, all spirit monsters remain face-up on the field and do not return to the owner's hand during that phase even. Wait, it seems like a sweet deal, right? Well, just hold that thought, because right when I get to the next paragraph is when this card falls apart. If they are special summoned, flipped face-up, discard one card from your hand during each of your end phases to keep this card's effect active. And if you do not discard, this card is destroyed, and if this card is destroyed or removed from the field, all face-up spirit monsters must return to the owner's hands immediately. Ugh. So, alright, so let's break down the reason why I hate this card. And that reason is, you have to discard one card each turn in order to keep this bastard activated.
Oh no! I have to discard a card for every spirit monster on my field in order to keep the spell card that prevents it from returning to my hand. If only there were cards out there that allowed me to recycle this kind of card back into my hand. Hey, look at that! Now granted, Magical Blast pretty much prevents you from drawing new cards, but you can still add it from the graveyard to your hand. And granted, again, this wouldn't exactly work in constructed or sealed deck formats, which require you to use a set deck and can't really customize it, but this can still be useful in casual play and open deck formats. On top of that, another issue I have with your argument against this card's effect is that the discard effect was likely included to make this card more balanced. Think about it. Back when Spirit Monsters first came out, these things could be seen as a big-ass threat because of their strong effects. Discarding their opponent's entire hand prior to the next turn's draw phase, a single monster being able to attack all of your opponent's monsters in one battle phase, destroying all set spell and trap cards once it's normal or flip summoned, etc. Nowadays their threat level is debatable, but my point is, if a card like this was played without the discard effect, it would make the already strong spirit monsters even more broken. But hey, he did talk about this card for another minute after this point, so hey future me, does this guy bring up that this effect was included for balancing and I bring up cards that do this effect better?
No, he just bitches about the discarding and then brings up Jam Breeding Machine.
Well, that's a disappointment.
Now, a little disclaimer. This list, by no means, these games are bad. Overrated does not mean bad. Overrated means they've been bloated by legend or myth or sales. They're just over-bloated through a cultural lens. Not that they're bad. Most of these games aren't bad. Actually, all these games aren't bad. Some might be more mediocre than others. to me, but none of these games are bad. They're just overrated. To me, my opinion. Deals. Alright.
Holy shit! Someone actually used a decent definition of the term overrated? Hallelujah!
Too bad it kinda got ruined by his clear lack of a script.
Had to be a buzzkill, didn't ya?
Anyways, while there are some people who can do well without a script, that's usually because they are good at improv. But here, not so much. Your awkward pauses and stumbling with words make this video come off as unprofessional and sloppy.
Also doesn't help that this lack of a script / notes about why he thinks these games are overrated will end up hurting a lot of his arguments as the video goes on.
Alright, first up, number 10 is going to be the Batman Arkham series. The entire. Now, I did like the first game, Arkham Asylum. Fantastic. Basically threw together a 3D action-adventure Metroidvania, but you're the Batman. It's a Batman simulator through the lens of Metroidvania. Absolutely fantastic. It was kind of revolutionary at the time, but then the sequel came out, Arkham Knight, and it kind of blew up from there. From that point on, they kind of went, instead of a Metroidvania Batman, they kind of went to like a GTA Batman, where the world got bigger, more expansive, and it just wasn't my bag, baby. I just couldn't get into it. Everyone else did, but I just couldn't see the appeal. It was just, they're great games. They're great games. I even played a little bit of the newest one. They're all great looking games. They all play really great, but they're a little overrated to me. That's why they're number 10 on my list of most overrated games ever.
That's it? That's all you had to say about it?
Pretty much.
No elaboration, hardly any reasons why you thought the Arkham series was overrated. This is what we meant by how not using a script / notes can hurt your arguments, folks.
Also, gotta love his slip-ups and not editing them out.
Oh, lovely. Doing videos in one take. My favorite.
And now that we have shown you the recurring issue with this video, we can now skip to the juicy bits.
Juicy bits? We have like 2 other points to make, and Boss Key's video is about as dry as the Sahara.
Next up is number 4. Motherfucker Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day is so hilarious. He's this dirty little squirrel, and he goes around and he makes fart jokes and dick jokes. Oh look, they're parodying the Matrix.
I don't. This is one game out of my list I don't see the appeal. I just don't. I don't know how people can pay $120, $150 for this game. It's mind-boggling. And it's not a bad game. I played a little bit of it. It's a rare game. It plays well enough. It plays well. It's just, I do not understand the expensive price tag on this thing. It's crazy. The only cultural relevance that this game has is the fact that it's probably the only rated M game on the Nintendo 64. That's its claim to fame. Ooh, M rating. Still not interested. Not interested. Definitely number 4 on my top overrated games of all time.
So, at number 4, you use even less reasons as to why you think a game is overrated.
First off, what does cultural relevance have to do with the game itself? It has no effect on the gameplay, the music, etc. The only thing I could see related to this is the comedy in the game, but that's still only one part of the game, and even then, you just brought up the rating of the game.
Plus, in your Ocarina of Time segment, which we skipped, you brought up how the graphics were outdated, the controls, etc. But here, you don't even bring any of those up, and I don't get why. Both came out on the same system, both used almost similar art styles, and you could have argued that the comedy was dated even for the time. You could have had a good argument here. Also, the reason why the game is expensive nowadays is because A, the game came out in the same year as the GameCube. As such, the big-name game stores were shelving previous generation games to make way for the next console generation games, which means that not many of these cartridges were sold. And B, the ones that go for $120 are usually that expensive because you are essentially purchasing the entire thing. The box, instructions, cartridge, etc. Remember, this is essentially a rare game. Unless you're dealing with an asshole reseller, or anyone on eBay frankly, The cartridge should usually cost you about half the price. This is also ignoring the fact that this has almost nothing to do with the game itself. That is an outside factor in this. What's his arguments on Final Fantasy VII, Fawn?
Well, aside from him saying he loved the game in the beginning and then saying it's not too great later on in the video, there's this.
It still has a lot of pacing flaws.
Such as... Oh, right. No examples. Well, here's one to counter it. Red 13's character arc in Disc 1. He hates his dad, we find out his reason why early on, we then reach Cosmo Canyon a few hours later into the game, and then we find out the truth after going through that cave, and Red 13 has an emotional moment combined with a great peace before moving forward with his life after that scene. Anyways, next point.
Well, he also brings up translation issues.
Meh, a few games had those issues back in the 90s, but you know what, I kinda see that as a good reason.
So, I'm sorry to interject so soon into his rant, but I just want to state this. He keeps doing these ums and ahs. If you don't know what you're going to say, either write a script or edit this shit out. Because throughout this video, I was getting very annoyed by your ums and ahs.
But they released a trailer for Pokemon X and Y, and I can say I am less than pleased. Fairy type. Fucking Fairy type! I've been playing Pokemon for 7 years.
I didn't know the Sacred Realm sold Pokemon games.
So, yeah, Dragon type's even a little peculiar to me. But I never really had a big problem with it. Like I said, I've come to terms with it. But Fairy type, screw you, Fairy type. I hate you. It's gonna be a psychic, because it's being put with Gardevoir. They're taking it. You're taking Gardevoir, sticking Fairy, and going, now you're psychic and Fairy.
Yeah, how dare they try to make this new type compatible with older generations of Pokemon? That's stupid.
No, you shut your mouth. You're stupid. What is the purpose of Fairy type?
To add a new type and balance out Dragon. I can't believe I had to explain this to you.
So they want to have something else in there. No. Then you might as well make something another thing strong against normal if you want to if you're using that kind of logic. It's stupid.
Time to bring back one of your older clips.
Dragon type was in the first generation, and it was the higher up. It was like so powerful.
Well, normal may only have one weakness. Compare and contrast these stats, and then tell me Dragon doesn't need another weakness.
And I can just picture now, fucking Dragonite, that giant ass one from the anime, where he's towards the first season, I think it is, the anime, where he's like gigantic walking in the ocean. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. At least I hope you do. I can see that thing frickin' smushing a damn Igglybuff, because that was one of the pictures. It said that it looked like Igglybuff was gonna be a Fairy type. What? Igglybuff, Jigglypuff, and Wigglytuff are gonna be Fairy type? Are you kidding me? You're telling me that a little Igglybuff's gonna go up to the frickin' Dragonite and be like, hey, punch, and just kill the frickin' Dragonite.
Newsflash, that example only works for Fairy-type moves, not because a Pokemon's a Fairy type. So, technically, a normal Eevee, if it can learn a Fairy-type move, can KO a Dragonite. Do you get your research from Smogon or something?
And it's so dumb. Let me look up, actually, right now, to see what other Pokemon that they plan to make Fairy types.
Why? You saw the trailer to the new Fairy type. You know what Pokemon are going to be Fairy types. They didn't change much since then. What the crap?
Oh dear lord. Well. Don't search Fairy type Pokemon, by the way.
What? You saw the trailer! You know what Pokemon are going to be there. Why are you looking it up? Then, do you see why this video needed to be scripted or taking out unnecessary shit? You wasted 30 seconds of our time for nothing. You know this shit.
This is bullshit! I shouldn't even be getting stressed out over this, but God! So screw this. I'm done. All that's left for this retard is that he just bitches about that, oh, Sylveon can be a fairy type, but none of these older Pokemon can. So I'm done with this video. This video is shit. And even if you did strip this video, it doesn't distract the fact that your points are completely meaningless, considering the fact you just bitched about the name, the fact that they're adding older Pokemon to this new type, and the fact that Dragon is finally getting another counter, despite the fact he's almost overpowered. You're bitching about nothing for this video. If you brought up legitimate complaints besides minor nitpicks, I wouldn't have had an issue with this, but the fact that you did is bullshit. You know what this reminds me of? Here's a perfect clip, and I don't give a shit if I'm playing a media clip, but this whole video could go along the lines of this. I don't like change! That's all I have to say, so see you later, and I expect a commentary on this just because I was raging at somebody near the end. Later.
Oh, shit, this guy is German? Well, better use something appropriate then. Nah, let's just use this guy instead.
Look at the graphics, it's just garbage, and basically the game is garbage. But why would I... $16 for a game that was released in 1997? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like... improved gameplay and level design, and OpenGL for video, blah blah, FXAA, anti-aliasing, stuff like that, and Steam achievements! Come on! And look at the system requirements! I remember I played this game on the Nintendo 64 because I had a Nintendo 64, and they had Turok, and I played it like crazy. And the Nintendo 64 had a 93 MHz RISC CPU with 2 MB RAM plus 2, or was it 4 plus 4 MB RAM? Anywho, minimum system requirements, 2 GHz AMD or Intel dual-core processor and 1 GB of RAM, 800 megs available space on hard drive. I remember the Turok cartridge for the Nintendo 64 had 8 megabytes. The whole game, the whole Turok game, including music, was fitted on 8 megabytes. And they claim like 800 megabytes. What's going on with that? I don't understand this. It's just, what's going on with those people, eh? I just don't get it.
Yeah, apologies for playing a large chunk there with no interjections, but I needed that bit in to show you guys what's wrong with his argument about the price. With all those additions and improvements that you showed in the video and on the official Steam page, it's obvious that this is not just a simple port of the original game, like Bubsy Twofer, but more like an HD remastering with improvements to the original code. You want to know why it uses up more RAM and space? Because of the improvements to the code and engine used to remaster the game in high definition. That shit is very taxing. And if you don't believe that high definition bit, I included 2 Imgur links in the description. The first link is the original game's graphics on the N64, while the second one is the HD remastered version you can get on Steam. Now, as for the price itself, here's the thing. If you think the price is too high, well, wait till it goes on sale, or in your case, a better sale of the game. If you seriously want to judge the game because of the price, which you seem to do in this segment, then that problem can be fixed by waiting for it to go on sale. Now, some of you may cry out, well, why not just get the original then? Well, here's the thing. If you want both the instructions and the game itself, not just the cartridge, it's going to cost you on average about $20, at least according to this website. So, really, price-wise, it's not much of a difference. At least if you're trying to get the box, the game, and the instructions. It's nice to see that you're practicing your dancing, but this isn't appropriate music. Let me fix that! Also, since Shotaro got drunk or something while editing, I'm gonna add in Maverick's original video because Shotaro made his audio so frickin' quiet, it's almost inaudible. And this is why you don't drink and calm. Or is it something else? Eh, screw it.
I can already see that this is a brilliant sign of success. So, with all that out of the way, here we are with Mario to Plumber.
And here's where our first problem comes in. Your editorial is way too long. Well, my editorial was only about 10 or 30 seconds, but your editorial lasted almost a minute and 30 seconds. This may be a nitpick, but, you know, I'm just trying to help him out here.
So why did you play his whole opening statement then when you could have easily pointed out his length issue and moved on? I know you said it was a nitpick, but playing the whole segment without saying anything for over a minute came off as nothing more than padding.
Oh guys, I forgot to mention that I am going to skip Mario to Plumber's parts of the video, because I just feel that you know, he just irritates me so much. I'm only going to focus on the Maverick Gamer's points. So, yeah, sorry about that.
And here's where one of my biggest issues with the video comes in. By cutting out Mario to Plumber's segments, it confuses the viewer since they have no idea what point Maverick is responding to, and as a result, it forces the viewer to go watch Maverick's original video just because you found his voice to be irritating. People should only have to go watch the original video if they either want to see the parts the commentator missed, or if they want to make a commentary on it. Luckily, I'll be splicing those parts back in for you guys.
The character design in this fucking game is fucking ripped off from fucking Mario fucking 3D World, where it looks fucking shiny as fuck, and all the characters are just fucking ripped assets from 3D World. So the character design fucking sucks.
How do they suck, Mario to Plumber? You gonna elaborate on that? Well, considering your record and Galaga 13 vids, I really shouldn't be surprised that every reviewer I tackle doesn't elaborate that much.
Well, that's maybe because they're both trolls.
Okay, fair enough. Mario to Plumber's a troll, and this guy fell into it. Okay, let's move on.
Wow, I can't believe that you are falling for his traps. Look, I know Mario the Plumber is a troll. Kid, can't you get this through your thick skull? He is a troll.
Rester, Giovanni, take him now!
Okay, we get it. He is a troll. The youngling wannabe fell into it. We heard you the first time. You don't need to repeat it over and over again. For the next little bit, Maverick responds to Mario to Plumber's argument about Captain Toad's story, and Shotaro doesn't respond for a while. But, when he finally does respond, here's his argument.
And you know what? You can just refer to my last statement.
Okay, this bugs me more than it should, but am I the only one who hates it when people say, refer to my last statement, and then move on to the next part of the video to commentate on? If you don't have much to argue with, you can easily skip it. That's like me stopping the video to do this. See? Served no point. And believe it or not, that's pretty much the rest of this commentary for you. He repeats the troll argument and refer to my last statement for the rest of the video, so I'm gonna stop it here.
This is gonna be my last video on this site, on this channel for a long time. I'm kind of forced to take a long break from pony stuff for a long time. Like, yeah, this is the only team with activity on this channel for a while.
See? This is what happens when you're caught clopping. Also, I love the fact this guy can't even spell reindeer correctly, despite the fact that Google exists.
You might be wondering, what this has to do with my little playing part of his magic. Well, my fear is that what they did to Patrick Star is similar to what's happening to Pinkie Pie. I mean, Pinkie Pie used to be a good character. She was fun, random, crazy, and goofy. Patrick Star used to be a good character. He used to be funny, stupid in a funny way. You know, he was okay. He wasn't that bad. He cared about people, I guess. Like, it was just... What I'm saying is that the way Pinkie Pie has been acting lately is really not good. Here's Pinkie Pie in Season 1.
I let that part of the video play out to display a problem I have with this video. There are so many goddamn pauses. Is it that hard to edit them out? Honestly?
No. We can't prank Buttershy. I mean, she's so sensitive. It'll hurt her feelings. Even our most harmless prank. Yeah, you're right.
Now here's Season 4 Pinkie Pie.
A shining star! With every pony staring at you, judging you, jealously noting how they could be way better than you. Why wasn't it them? Why wasn't it them? And then, when you choke, they'll turn on you, becoming a seething, angry mob, and you'll be horribly humiliated, never able to show your face in Ponyville again!
You know what makes me laugh? The fact that you only use Philly Vanilli to make this assumption. You know, one episode out of a season, and every other episode seemed to portray Pinkie in a positive fashion. It's like this was a fluke or something, like every other TV show getting a bad episode. And yet you still wanted to make this a video.
How sad. Since the next few minutes are clips from Philly Vanilli, except with the audio replaced with the intro statement to Mysterious Mr. Enter's Top 10 Patrick's a Prick episodes, I'm just going to skip over it. But, little nitpick here, if you're able to replace the audio in this, then why the hell couldn't you edit out your pauses? Just saying.
They don't want My Little Pony turned into SpongeBob. They don't want Pinkie Pie turned into Patrick Star.
So you make this whole assumption based on one bad episode and a couple of scenes from 2 other episodes in the seasons that are ultimately debatable. Yeah, I think I'm done here. Yeah, spoiler alert, this video sucked, much like the other videos that David Was Here, Rhino, and Much Pseudo Intellectual did commentaries on. You made this whole video based on one bad episode in a show that is almost close to hitting 100. Every show has a dud, kid. That doesn't mean Pinkie Pie is going to turn into Patrick Star, who's continually shown again and again to be a terrible character. Calm your tits, this is just as bad as the time people complained about Twi'lek, except where I could see where some people are coming from. I'm only hearing this from you.
Hey guys, HDVee here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon video. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a look at 5 new Pokemon movesets that make absolutely no sense in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Of course, in previous games we have had other Pokemon such as Ghastly learning moves such as Fire, Ice and Thunder Punch which just don't seem to make sense.
Makes no sense? Ghastly is a ball of gas, so what's to say it can't use its own gas to form fists? In a world where we have living cacti and trees, it's really not that far-fetched when you think about it. Even then, its head isn't made up of that poisonous gas, so it could also just infuse its head with the element and attack its foes, like in Battle Revolution. It may not be a punch by the dictionary standard, but it is still hitting the opponent.
And with Sun and Moon, there are a couple more Pokemon as well they learn moves that they just shouldn't, whether it's by the design of the Pokemon and the move that just don't seem to go together, or you just would never see a Pokemon using that move.
I let that play out for 2 reasons. 1, to showcase his criteria for the list, and 2, to showcase a problem with the video. The constant breaths. It sounds like you just came back from running a marathon, and it hurts the pacing when you take breaths in between each sentence as shown with the last 10 seconds of the clip. You're not in a rush, HD. You can take it easy. Or hell, you can edit out the breaths and use fade-ins in your editing software to make the transitions between each line smoother, but I digress. Let's just tackle as number 5.
Okay, so coming into the number 5 spot in today's video, we have Toucannon and the fact that it can learn Overheat. Now, before we get into any arguments, I understand the fact that Toucannon's beak does, give off heat, hence why he can learn Beak Blast, and if you hit him whilst he's using Beak Blast and you get burnt, I understand that, that's fair enough, life happens. But the fact with the fact that it can earn Overheat is, using Overheat is when you literally, the Pokemon just engulfs flames from its, mouth and, just fires them at from its body and just fires them at its opponent. And this is a bird, and it's not a fire type bird, it's just a normal and flying type bird. So unless this bird can literally spit fire from its, body and literally create flames in its body.
Which it can, as evidenced by the fact it can use Beak Blast, which requires Toucannon to heat up its own beak, and if you hit it while charging, it will inflict the burn status on your Pokemon, which means the heat it's generating must be a lot, otherwise it wouldn't be inflicting burns through mere contact. Outside of that, this entry presents another problem, and it's a recurring one: your lack of research on the Pokemon's origin/inspiration. Now I know some may argue that it's pointless for a list like this, but as I will soon demonstrate, it actually somewhat debunks his argument here. Toucannon, as the name implies, is based off a toucan and a cannon. Cannons require heat in order to launch the cannonballs at fast speeds and at a large distance, so with all that said, is the idea of Toucannon using overheat really out of place now, when Toucannon itself can generate heat? I rest my case.
I can't really see how it can learn Overheat. Like I said, I understand that its beak gets hot, but, the beak, you wouldn't be firing off an overheat from your beak, I guess.
Why not? Again, it can generate its own body heat, so why can't it use its beak? Because it has a beak? Yeah, Blaziken, Moltres, and Talonflame would like to have a word with you about that. Anyways, I'm gonna skip his Alolan Ductrio segment, because while there is evidence to support that the Diglett line has feet thanks to the Mystery Dungeon games, it's not canon to the main series, and truth be told, not even the original Alolan Ductrio could help me counter his point in that entry, aside from maybe using its hair to attack, so screw it. Number 3, stopping you right there. What? What is it? Are you seriously going to ignore his statement that he doesn't understand how a Alolan Ductrio can learn moves like Sucker Punch? Well, yeah, because there isn't much of a— Sucker Punch's original Japanese name roughly translates to surprise attack. Notice how it doesn't say punch in the title? Therefore, it's very much possible that Ductrio can learn it because the name doesn't imply the use of fists. So thanks, Pokemon Company, for changing the name into something stupid. Why don't you replace the music of an entire movie while you're at it? But yeah, that's how.
Anyways, you can skip to the next segment. I'll just be over here doing things.
Friggin' weeb.
Says the weeaboo!
Okay, so coming in at the number 3 spot in today's top 5 video is Wishy-Washy Solo Form Learning Earthquake.
Yes, it's solo form. AKA the form it takes when it's at about 25% health or lower after level 20. AKA the form that doesn't appear in battles that often when compared to its school form. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Now, this one is kind of just on the list just because it's just funny, like, how it can learn Earthquake. Like, this little fish with its awful stat total of 175 can learn a move like Earthquake where you shake the ground and literally, you know, yeah, attack your opponent by just shaking the ground really hard.
Laughable? Yes. Impossible? No. Even if it won't do much damage to its opponents, it's still possible for even a light Pokemon like Solo Form Wishy-Washy to create an Earthquake, largely because an Earthquake is pretty much a rumble on a destructive scale. All Wishy-Washy Solo Form is doing is just creating a tiny rumble in the area. Hell, that low attack stat in its Solo Form backs me up on that. Again, it's laughable, but for a list about movesets that make no sense, laughable does not equal impossible/improbable.
Okay, so coming in at the number 2 spot in today's top 5 video is Delmise, and the fact that it can learn Surf. Now, before we begin, I know that this Pokemon is based off an anchor.
Wow! I didn't know anchors came with ship wheels attached to them! We've certainly come a long way.
Which are obviously put underwater and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's kind of it. Like, at the end of the day, it's like anchors are just like metal things that don't really, apart from like when they're outside of water, they don't really do anything. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at the design of Delmise, it doesn't look like something that could summon water. It's a ghost and grass type Pokemon with loads of steel moves. It doesn't look like something that has anything to do with water, just apart from the fact that it is based off an anchor.
Yeah, no. I joked about this a few seconds ago, but now's the time to be serious for a moment. Delmise's main body is the seaweed. That's what's controlling it. It's not based off an anchor. Oh, you see the freaking ship wheel in the footage you yourself are using here. I could also point out that it could be a reference to ghost ships, which would further validate the reason it has surf, but I'm going to focus on the seaweed for a moment because I think that helps my case here. Seaweed comes from the sea. That is what is keeping this Pokemon together, and that is what also controls it. So given the fact that Delmise's main body comes from the sea, and there's also a reference to ships as evident by the anchor and ship wheel, is it really that impossible/improbable for Delmise to have it? Especially since while on the sea, ships encounter powerful waves of water, which is basically surf all the time? I don't think so. Since the rest of his segment can be debunked with the previous explanation, I'm going to skip to his number 1.
Okay, so finishing things off and claiming the number 1 spot in today's top 5 video is Drampa and the fact that it can learn Fly. Now, I understand that this is a dragon Pokemon, but when you look at the design of Drampa, it doesn't look like something that's going to be flying in the air anytime soon.
It's based off a Chinese dragon, which didn't have wings, but could still fly because of their magical powers. That's it. It's right there on Bulbapedia. And even outside of that, a simple Google search would show you what Chinese dragons look like. And I know you later argue it doesn't make sense because it has a long flailing neck and wouldn't support it, but again, Chinese dragons can still fly without wings, and those things are long as heck based on these images. Hell, look at Pokemon like Dragonite. Different origins, yes, but its wings shouldn't be able to support that big body, and yet it can. Why? Because dragons are mythical creatures and have properties to them that defy real-world logic.
Let's get this party started!
Really? That's the intro. Holy crap, the clips are barely synced up. Hell, not even the music is fitting for the desync clips. The aspect ratio constantly changes, which doesn't paint a good picture of the quality in this video. And this goes on for longer than it really needs to be. I know what you were trying to go for, but it just wasn't executed well here, basically. And for those who still want to do montage intros in 2017, try and not do what this guy did, basically. And given how this is the first thing people see from this intro, having a weak introduction is not a good first impression for your viewers, because if they are turned off by, say, a bad intro, intro, they are likely to click away from the video instead of watching it. Oh, and there's also the crappy video quality, but I'll save that complaint for when we enter the number transition.
Top 10 gym leaders, top 10 underrated Pokemon, a top 49 legendary list. Gah!
Yeah, we could have done another take or taken out that stutter, but don't worry, my love of Pokemon will make people forget about that mistake.
So today I'm covering a huge topic, Pokemon generations. That's right, all 5 generations of Pokemon. 5 time periods, 5 times quicker in terms of getting to the point.
This video is 40 minutes long. Getting to the point, my ass. Anyways, time to deal with the elephant in the room.
Secondly, unless you're a clone of me or something, this list will be different than yours. So, if you're not happy with the choices I selected, my deepest apologies.
And here it is. Oh god, it's heavy! Yes, folks, as pointed out by others, this guy plagiarized Animal Guy 001's top 5 Pokemon generations list.
Unless you're an identical clone of mine.
Unless you're a clone of me or something.
If there's one thing I've talked about a lot this year, it's definitely Pokemon.
If I haven't said this enough this year, I love Pokemon.
And this problem is a frequent one as we go through this list, so I might as well address it now, but it won't come off as a broken record later. Listen time again, folks. Do not plagiarize someone. You come off as scummy/unoriginal for doing it, especially when you don't even credit the original. Look, I'm not saying you can't have similar opinions as someone or points, but if you're going to make a video or piece stating those opinions/points, at least put in some effort to make it your own. This whole don't plagiarize someone should be obvious to people making videos, not just countdowns, but as shown with The Gamer, as well as many others, this issue is still present even today. Joyous.
With that said, it's time to catch 'em all!
And now it's time to bring up the quality issue because holy shit, this is abysmal. Ignoring that the effect doesn't cover up the whole screen for a moment, I can't read that text. You wanna know why I can't? Because this video is rendered in 240p. Do not do that. Even in 2012, this wasn't okay to do. Again, for those who want to do countdowns, word of advice, at the very least, render your video in 360p. I know I shouldn't be nitpicking quality, but holy shit, when I can't even see your fucking text in a number transition, yeah, that's a fucking problem. Anyways, the next bit is just a rehash of Animal Guy skip, but with worse line delivery and quality than 2012's Trees Apprentice. Really, all you're missing is Mountie getting, insert item here, to deal with fanboys, which, even in 2012, was run the fuck into the ground.
Oh, come on, man. Oh! Die.
I said it. Generation 3 sucks. Hear me out though before you send hate comments.
Nope! You said earlier that you were sorry in the event people weren't happy with your selections, and yet when you said Gen 3 sucked, you made a joke where you turned the Trees Apprentice/Ben, who possibly wouldn't be happy with your number 5 choice due to him liking Gen 3, into a raging lunatic with an Ampharos avatar because lol, his favorite Pokemon. So basically, you're sorry if you pissed off people for your choices not agreeing with theirs, but it's okay to disrespect one of the biggest names in the community at the time by turning him into a raging lunatic for a shitty punchline? Yeah, fuck off.
Me? You leave my LGB alone.
Lack of strategy, horrible new mechanics introduced, no new innovation.
No new innovations! Yet you claim this game has new gameplay mechanics. Did you even read your script? That's like advertising a new Honda 2018 car, but then stating there's nothing new about it. Even the car still says Honda 2017 on it.
That's right!
What the?
I'm the annoying new supporting character with a high-pitched voice. People will love me.
Yeah, go jump off a cliff or something.
It's your thing. I'll ruin the pacing another time.
Start to finish. I also forgot to mention this. Ruby and Sapphire contain their own form of missing number in the form of 2 question marks in the event of cheating. Game Freak could have easily froze the game instead of doing a missing no style glitch.
Yes, folks, you just saw that. He legit tried to use a glitch to hit on a generation. I could just leave it at that like TP did, but let's go further. First off, ignoring that literally every generation has these glitches, yet you only criticize Gen 3 and later in this list one for it, there's also the fact that the Gen 3 Deca marks, which is basically the stuff seen in Curious Footage, aren't even that deadly when compared to Gen 1's missing no. Also, minor note, yeah, that thing about freezing the game instead of making that thing, Yeah, the deca marks were inserted into the game to prevent the game from crashing, dumbass. It's right there in Bulbapedia. Even in 2012 this information was there. Anyways, back to comparisons. The worst that'll happen if you catch a Gen 3 double question mark, since the deca marks seen in your footage will disappear from your party when caught, is that your save data will be corrupted and deleted if you try and cheat moves onto it. Otherwise, nothing happens, because it's a stable glitch. Unlike Gen 1, where your Hall of Fame data gets screwed up, the 6th item in your slot is increased by 128, and if you catch it, a bunch of glitches will appear in your game. Yeah, that's an unstable glitch, and bitching about the Gen 3 one is stupid, especially when it's not only small potatoes compared to stuff you encounter in the main campaign, but it doesn't even affect anything if you do encounter it, unlike Gen 1. Yeah, this is fucking stupid. Skip ahead.
Also, the abilities introduced to give the Pokemon personality didn't have much of a use until later generations. The only good abilities I found in this were Intimidate, Q-Charm, and Static. The rest were either useless or unusable.
Abilities give the Pokemon personality? Who the fuck ever said that? Seriously? Someone needs to read that dictionary. If anything, the natures give Pokemon personality, since each time you catch a Pokemon from the same species, their natures are always different, which means different tastes as well as boosts/decreases in stats that make each Pokemon you catch from the same species stand out from each other, kinda like how personalities make humans stand out from each other. Speaking of abilities, why the fuck is it hard for you to list examples of useless/unusable abilities, especially when you're able to list abilities you liked a few seconds prior? Just saying, if you're gonna make a claim like that, at least try and back it up with examples/proof. Even then, however, this point about abilities being unusable is bullshit. Why the fuck would Game Freak design abilities if there was no use for them? Each one has its use. Some are better than others, yes, but each one is designed to be usable. So yeah, you can take that unusable claim and shove it up your ass.
No, 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 no!
But another thing that pisses me off is how rushed the game is. So many areas that were designed to do absolutely nothing in the final product.
Yeah, funny thing about that, the Jirachi White Rock thing? That was a hoax. Seriously, there is no proof that White Rock was meant for an event to get Jirachi. Hell, not even Bulbapedia mentions a connection to the White Rock and Jirachi on the Maz Deep City page. Screw it. The other examples of things being rushed are things like Pokemon originally planned for the game, and that argument could be applied to other generations, so skip.
Ruby and Sapphire had 3 years in development. There was no excuse to rush this product out, and before you say Emerald fixed this, while it may have fixed this, I've never played that game. Plus, if it was fixed, then that further proves my point on Ruby and Sapphire being crap.
Stopping you right there. While I could argue that you should play Emerald before making a video like this, you could get by that issue by doing research on the game in question. Too bad you don't, and there's no excuse for it because it's right fucking there on Bulbapedia. In fact, when you Google the name on Bulbapedia, it lists the changes from Ruby and Sapphire on its page. You call Ruby and Sapphire a rushed product, and yet here you are rushing shit out and not doing your research either. Seriously, guys, do your research, or else you'll end up like this twat. Anyways, the dude bitches about the way Gen 3 handled its battery, which, for those who don't know, it basically just killed berries and timed events when the battery died, since the save data was now in a different spot than it was in the first 2 gens, and wanted it to go back to the old way. Even though the old way killed your save data when the battery died. Dumbass. So we're going to skip ahead.
Be honest, the worst part about this game is the gameplay itself. There's nothing to do to make a strategy to make your team unique. It's the same team every time. Plus, there wasn't anything you could do to adjust your team's stats, except for the vitamins, which I swear are endorsed by Eugene Krabs.
Here's a mistake both you and Logan made.
Aside from the expensive vitamins, there was no way you could influence your Pokemon's base stats. None whatsoever.
While yes, the way to manipulate the stats was shit back in Gen 1, you did have a couple other options to manipulate stats that wasn't vitamins. Since neither of you specified permanent or temporary manipulation, I can bring these up. First off, the X/battle items, which increases the stats of a Pokemon temporarily in battle. Another way to manipulate stats? Eevee training. Yes, even back in Gen 1, there was a way to Eevee train, but it wasn't handled that well. And a link will be in the description if you want to find out how to Eevee train a certain stat. Again, it's set up all stupidly, but that's still an option to manipulate stats rather than just one like the two of you claimed. Skip.
Let's finish this off with the roster. To be honest, while the roster is the largest collection of Pokemon,
nope, that's Gen 5 with 156. You even acknowledge this later in the next entry, so why the fuck did you keep this in your script? Revise, folks. Revise, get this thing out of my face!
Ta-da!
Oh yeah, I said it. I list Generation 4 as my second favorite generation over the masterpiece, Gen 1 and over Gen 5.
So you like Gen 4. Why don't you explain before I kick you where the sun don't shine?
Hi, random Fawn cameo. Seriously, where the fuck did she come from? There wasn't even a setup to that cameo, like you contacting her, her contacting you. She just randomly popped up for no reason, since she asks you to explain your reasons why you like the gen, which you were about to do anyways. Christ, Kai's cameo from that bit I skit made more sense than this, because you had to go and get something and he just happened to have it. Or hell, Quarter Guy's cameo from Logan's List made more sense than this, because Logan also had to go get something. Huh. Oh, fuck. Similar points again. Skipping ahead.
Also, thank you for adding in the battle frontier. It was such a breath of fresh air as opposed to the battle tower just being there. Plus, with the different types of matches, this frontier has more replay value than the Emerald version in the battle tower.
You literally said you never played Emerald. How do you know that the Battle Frontier is better than Platinum than in Emerald? If you got more knowledge of the Battle Frontier while writing this list, then why didn't you go back and fix the Gen 3 entry? If that's not the case and you think Emerald only had the Battle Tower and Platinum introduced the Frontier, then you're pulling shit out of your ass because Emerald had more than just the Battle Tower. Oh, and before I skip ahead, I just want to make reference to this. Another lesson for you guys. Do not use seizure-inducing footage.
Shiny Pokemon? Hey, I didn't know shiny Sneasels were brown.
Oh, they're not. You just suck at selling jokes. Seriously, it's just a small tech limitation on colors. Spinarak had it too with the black instead of green texture. Hell, they fixed it in Crystal.
I would talk about Crystal, but I never played it.
Do you have some hate boner to sister/sequel games or something? Because you didn't play Emerald, Black and White 2, or Crystal before making this list, nor did you bother to look into their innovations on Bulbapedia if you couldn't have the time to play through said games.
And the elites this time around were more fleshed out and given more character development.
Yes, they are so fleshed out in these games. I can remember the members like Rocket Executive and Rocket Executive. And of course, my favorite, Rocket Executive. You know what? To hell with this. I'm freaking done with this video. 5 years after this list came out, and this list is still terrible. The line delivery is terrible, the reasons are terrible, the previously mentioned plagiarism is an issue, the editing is abysmal. What also didn't help was the padding. A lot of the entries barely even brought up stuff like the manga, the spin-offs, or even the anime, so why even list them as criteria if you barely have much to say? If you're going to have criteria but only have it apply to a few entries, that might be a good idea to scrap such criteria from the list, especially when you claim to want to get to the point quicker. But let's quickly talk about the remake from Curia that came out a few months after this list. While it is a little better than this list, I mean, he doesn't fucking plagiarize in this version. His points are still faulty, and the editing is not much better than the original. It's a slight improvement from the December list, but it's still crap. But hey, at least he learned from that mistake, and now he's doing better. It kinda sucks to look back on the past like this, but our past actions did help us learn and improve. So happy 5-year anniversary, top 5 Pokemon generations. You may be a piece of shit, but you do serve as a good example of how not to do a countdown. Good job. Now for your reward, I'm going to use your thumbnail to beat the shit out of that salesman guy. So yeah, see you later guys, let's go countdown.
Okay guys, I have a love-hate relationship with Shuckle.
We love Shuckle, we love him so much.
He's just so worthless. I mean, yeah, I guess he can take hits all day long, but honestly, how is that going to help you in the game? It's not going to help you at all. But I'm not trying to hate on how Shuckle looks. I'm just hating on his ability. He can't do anything, really.
First off, I technically argue that you complain that it's useless, yet you describe a good feature about it, its abilities to take hits. Do you have an issue with walls or something? Because those Pokemon will allow you to defend yourself while you also set up spikes, set up additional support for your team if you're doing a double or triple battle. 2. You're forgetting about Power Trick, which allows you to switch your attack and defense stats. With Shuckle having an insanely high defense stat, imagine applying that to attack, and then it would be a goddamn menace if used correctly. 3. You're calling it useless just because it's a wall, which is basically what you're giving off. It's not really a real reason. Based on how many videos and how many people have made good strategies for Shuckle, you can't really call it useless, which is what you're saying.
It's like a gear, and it spins. I mean, come on. I mean, that you gotta get a little more creative than that.
You know, because it's not like every other generation has uncreative Pokemon or anything.
I mean, it's a gear that spins. Why is that a Pokemon? And people probably say, oh, why is Rotom a Pokemon? I mean, that's like a washing machine. Because it's freaking awesome. A Rotom? It's a or a Rotom Wash, sorry. Rotom washing machine? That's sweet. But Kling Klang, sorry. You're weird. And yeah, Kling Klang is number 4 on my list.
3 cogs that combine together, horrible designed Pokemon and shit. A Pokemon that's just a washing machine, best designed, great Pokemon. Do I even need to point out the irony in that? And also, yeah, ignore the fact that Kling Klang if you give it a gear grind, it's probably one of the fastest Pokemon in the RU tier. It has several more resistances than Rotom Wash, and has a pretty good defense and attack stat, and yeah, your argument kind of falls flat. Also, what a petty reason to hate Klinklang. I know it's your reason, but you know what? If you're just going to use design as the only reason to hate something, then your argument falls flat. You remind me of somebody that hated a generation just because of a glitch. What idiot does that? Oh, wait.
The hatred started at Gen 3. The first time I saw one was in an electric type gym. Wait, why? I mean, that's just so random. Why is there an electric type gym with Illuminese and Volbeat and all that garbage? But, I mean, I don't know. I like how Illuminese looks. It looks alright. But you can't use them. Like, you can't use it in Emerald. But if you have, bravo to you. I'll applaud you. But, in my opinion, I just hate them. They're very annoying, and I don't like them at all.
I let that segment play out so that I can give you guys some context for that entry. Yes, that is all he said for the Volbeat and Illumise line. Yes, he literally brought up that because they're in an electric-type gym, that's one of the reasons he hates them. Although I'll admit that it's good that he gave at least more than one reason, you're hating them just because of something the programmers did to one of the trainers. By that logic, do you hate Metatite because it was in the same gym, or because Zigzagoon was in the same gym in the Ruby version? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why on earth bring that up as an argument? Do I need to bring up the missing no comment again? You had a good point bringing up that Volbeat and Illumise are useless. I may like them, but I can admit they're not that good in battle. But then you blow it with this.
Deontay or something like that? But it still doesn't make me like it. I don't like this Pokemon. It's a rock. And it's like, I know you're probably thinking, oh, Geodude's a rock. But, you know, I love Geodude because he's a Gen 1 Pokemon and they grow on me. But Carbink, no. It's a rock with little eyes and little diamonds coming out. I'm sorry, but it's not a nice Pokemon to me. It's very dumb.
I kind of detect a little bias here. You're saying that Gen 1 Pokemon grew on you. Well, is that really a fair comparison to a Gen 6 Pokemon? Do I need to remind you that that game came out in October of last year? Of course it hasn't had time to grow on you yet. It's only been out for a few months. It's not really a fair comparison. 2. You bitch about it, but it has the highest defenses of all fairy types, and it can be used for similar reasons I said in the Shuckle line. So if you don't know what I refer to there, go back a few minutes because I'm not repeating it. 3. How do we go from getting more than one reason to back to one reason? Also, I noticed that you don't seem to use a script. That's not too bad if you're good at it, but based on how many times you slip up in this, that's a problem.
Hello Pokemon fans, Voimon here, and I'm back with another Pokemon video. And this week we'll be talking about the top 5 most overrated Pokemon.
So wait, that's all you got for an intro sentence? You're not going to say something like, oh, I don't hate all these Pokemon on the list, I just find them a bit too overpraised? That's going to be a little problem when people are going to bring up the definition, just saying.
Okay, here's the reason for Magikarp being number 5. There is so much internet fat out there about Magikarp and it evolving, about it being a terrible Pokemon, which it is. It's popular because it's bad. So, yeah. It's popular because it's bad, terrible, and just awful. There's people just make internet fad out of it. When I evolve, I will kill you all! Ugh, no.
I let that full segment play out because this is basically what he does throughout the entire video. He talks about one particular thing, and just quotes a meme. That's it. Here's the problem with this entry, and what he says for his reasoning. The definition of overrated, which is what this title is, overrated Pokemon, is to rate, value, or estimate too highly. So, basically, you think people talk about Magikarp and how it sucks too much? Well, that seems to be more people rank it lowly. If people were talking about it in a good way, I could understand that, but by that logic, Seltzer and Friedberg's movies are overrated because people talk about them enough. That's not the definition.
Same problem here that we have with Magikarp. This just has a little less fad, but it's still a ton. Look up Mudkip on your search engine. The first thing you see is a meme about Mudkip.
Yo! Yeah, no, I'm not putting up with this high-pitched screaming. And also, you're bringing up a point everybody makes about Mudkip. Come on, give me something else.
I put Mew here at number 3, all for one reason. The truck in red and blue. The truck that is rumored to have Mew under it. Of course it didn't. There's no way that you would use, or was able to use strength on the truck to move it to get a Mew. Especially with easier ways to get a Mew where you just had to step on a special patch of grass and Mew would appear. Why would someone go to all that trouble to get a Mew, even if it was real? I just don't. No.
You know, I could easily just get pissed that is one of the dumber reasons I've heard. And keep in mind, this is the guy that said Gen 3 sucks because of a glitch. So, you have to top that to be stupid. But I'll leave it at this. What does a glitch, a rumor, have to do with a Pokemon being overrated? It has nothing to do with the Pokemon. And the person you bring up for this Mew glitch isn't a Pokemon either. Why are you bringing this person into it? This is a list about what you think are overrated Pokemon. Not talked with a Mew glitch. What is this, game theory? No, this is a list about top 5 overrated Pokemon. And you can't even do that right. God!
Now, I got this idea for number 1 from a video that a very nice Pokemon video maker did. Her name is Tamashi Hiroka. A link will be here. And I agree with her on this one. Gardevoir in the internet world is a woman. By that I mean, images of her are depicted of her having large breasts and female characteristics. Even though its Japanese name is actually Sir Knight. Sir Knight.
You're serious? Like, okay, I get it that Tamashi has stupid fucking fanboys, but you take the cake! You're using a reason that people can easily debunk, which is why I'm showing images right here, that you think it's overrated because it's sexualized. Okay. This is why you don't rely on a stupid bitch for your reasonings. You don't. Because of shit like this. Face facts, Rule 34. If it exists, there is always, always, always porn of it. By that logic, every Pokemon should be on the list. Guess what, asshole? That's a stupid reason. You have the gall to say that Gardevoir sucks and or is overrated because it's sexualized. It's official! You've topped a reason of stupidity. More than I hate a generation because of a glitch. You know why? Because at least with Gen 3, it had something. Even if it was stupid. Your case, every Pokemon is sexualized. Not just Gardevoir.
Wait a minute. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 itty-bitty second. That kind of blade can't cut through Wolverine. The reason Misty Knight's arm broke that adamantium blade was because it was made out of cheap, low-grade adamantium. It wasn't the expensive stuff.
Just because it's a weaker version of Wolverine's adamantium does not mean it can't be cut by Wolverine's high-frequency blade. Wolverine's adamantium, while containing stronger properties, is ultimately the same metal as the one that Misty Knight destabilized. The only difference is that it would take longer to destabilize when compared to the weaker version. Don't believe me? Well, it's time to go all scientific on this bitch! In the beginning of the battle, the blade got stuck in Wolverine's shoulder. It didn't cut through the shoulder bone, meaning the metal was still stable and strong, as most metals are in the beginning. But throughout the battle, Raiden's sword kept slicing through Wolverine's body at fast speeds, which means multiple sword strikes, meaning that the metal was beginning to destabilize due to the blade's properties. But to get to the point,
Raiden's blade eventually cut through the adamantium because the metal was suffering the equivalent of metal fatigue thanks to the numerous slashes, resulting in the metal destabilizing quicker and quicker. So yeah, the adamantium may be of a stronger version, but adamantium is still adamantium, and it can still destabilize. It just took a lot longer than the one the Misty Knight destabilized. I'm sorry about that boring science lesson, guys, but back to the commentary.
Here's why. Wolverine, at one point in his life, created a blade called the Muramasa blade. Well, it was a different Muramasa blade. There's like two. There's like the black one and the one he made was like all red and shit. But beside that, the Muramasa blade could cut through things on a molecular level. Wolverine thwacked at that thing with his claws, and it even cut him, but it didn't cut through the adamantium. And that shit can cut through things on a molecular level.
Okay, fair enough. That example did not cut through Wolverine's bones. It just injured him, and took several days to heal from. And even Wolverine admits that the blade is the only thing that can kill him. But even then, let's use someone who has adamantium just as strong as Wolverine's. Sabretooth. And what did the Muramasa do to him in their fight? Cut off his arm, and then chopped off his head. And may I remind you, Sabretooth has adamantium bones just as strong as Wolverine's. Sure, it's not Wolverine, but the point still stands. If that blade could do that, why can't the high-frequency blade do a similar thing? They can both pierce at a molecular level. That blade was made out of part of Wolverine's soul, and its substance was never stated. Can it still cut through objects on a molecular level? Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Since the rest of the video is him repeating an earlier point, I'm just going to move on to his second video, the Wolverine vs. Raiden rant.
The thing that got me so pissed off was that Death Battle let him lose, not just because of two mistakes they made. They let him lose to a character that's basically a nobody in some sense.
Oh yeah, Raiden's definitely a complete nobody. I mean, it's not like he was popular enough to be a playable character in the second game, have a big purpose in the story of MGS4, and be popular enough to have his own spin-off game. Nah, Raiden was just a complete nobody. Totally.
I mean, seriously. And also, Wolverine is already dead. If you're gonna bring him back for anything, let it be for something really badass and let him win.
Are you freaking serious? So because a character is already dead, they shouldn't do a battle? Who gives a shit if they're dead in the canon universe? Death Battle is a non-canon fan series where two or more characters fight in a battle to the death, and the hosts provide info on the characters. Hell, Death Battle has done battles with dead people before. Boba Fett was dead, and yet they did the battle with Samus. The Tiger Zord was destroyed/dead, and they still did a fight with it. Darth Vader is dead, but they still did a fight with him. Hell, Batman and Goku died once in the Death Battle series, and yet they still came back for another match. Also, why should Wolverine win the fight? Because of that blade issue you bitched about in the last video? Already dissected what's wrong with that statement. Aside from that, you provide no other reasons why he should win the fight over Raiden. You know, at least when Death Battle talked about Raiden/Wolverine, they at least tried to show why Raiden would win.